New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Live from a secure concrete bunker somewhere in Ohio, New Thought Media Network presents Pastor Michael Mangus with Friday's Fireside Chat, spiritual conversation for today. Here he is from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands of watts, Pastor Michael Mangus.
Oh, I laugh every time I hear that. Well, hi there. Good evening. Welcome to everyone across the United States and also around the world. It is time once again for another thrill-packed, fun-filled, and guaranteed, always exciting edition of the Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. I am the Reverend Michael Mangus, and I am broadcasting this evening from the Charles Fillmore secret radio room, surrounded by thousands, and I mean thousands of watts, in the secure concrete bunker somewhere around Akron, Ohio. That it's so top secret, only one person knows where it's at. Everyone else, especially that Reverend Dr. Robert Brzezinski, who just got back from Mexico without taking me down there. Especially him. We're not going to tell him at all, okay? And we're going to keep it that way. Well, hi there. We have a great show for you this evening. I know I say that every week, but yeah, it's going to be fun this evening. Please feel free to interact with us by posting your comments either on Facebook or YouTube. And yeah, I know there's some of you out there that don't want to put a post up. I understand. You may get into trouble. Just send me an email, pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. I actually do read them during the week. All right, so pastormichaelmangus@gmail.com. So why do we do this every Friday evening? Why do we get our beverage? Now, this evening, I have tangerine mango. All right, because it's too hot for warm beverages with the fire going in the background. So we take our beverage, we sit by the fire, and we talk about contemporary issues from a new thought or spiritual perspective. And again, as I say each and every week, I want us all to have a new thought about what is going on in the world. And during one of my shows this week, I heard one of the commentators say, well, I just want to bury my head and forget about it for the next 3 years. Unfortunately, that's not going to help the situation here. What's going to help here is our consciousness, our awareness, our light, sharing it with the world and with each other, supporting and loving one another, and helping each other through this time of transformation. That is what this is all about here. Yes, I know it's chaos out there, but for those of you who have studied anything about chaos theory, you know that even in the chaos, there is implicit order. So once again this evening, all the way from the great state of Tennessee,
whatever.
Formerly of the great state of confusion known as West Virginia.
Hey.
We have Divine Science Minister on his second program of today. We have the Reverend Jeff Radcliff.
Yeah, and for those of you who are not in the know, I'm one of 3 co-hosts for a show called Divine Science Everywhere, and it's right here on your. I mean, I can't. I'm looking at
I
myself.
usually I point towards the camera.
Yeah, I know, and it's on y'all's New Thought Media Network.
On the New Thought Media Network somewhere.
Friday afternoons, if you can catch us live at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, and yada, 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 on to 1 p.m. in the Pacific. That'd be great. If not, we put up the repeat like immediately. So you're not missing anything. We talked to the wonderful Reverend Dr. John Waterhouse today.
Oh, you did? How wonderful.
It was an awesome show. He, too, had just gotten back from the conference in Mexico, and he didn't take you either. So, yeah. But it was good.
I don't know. You know, the Reverend Dr. Robert Brzezinski gives me titles all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he gives me, now I have the title of Vice President of Programming and Janitorial Services.
Why don't we just call you the Vice President of Big Frickin' Whoopee? Cross the palm, Rev.
Cross the pond.
Silver. Yeah.
All right.
Now,
you have this evening for us a story of the week?
Not a damn thing. I'm going to wing it.
Oh, you don't have one?
No, I sent you an email. You don't read my emails. You tell people you do. You tell people you read their emails. You tell me my emails get read, but I know they don't.
I didn't see it.
I sent it.
When?
Earlier today. I don't remember what time. I can look it up and tell you what.
No, that's okay. So,
but I do want to add to something before we do anything else. And don't give the story of the week a big build up because I don't got one. We're just going to wing it tonight. But what you said about giving
that's
people,
scary.
I know, right?
Go ahead.
Me in this mouth, and I've not been cleared by legal for any F-bombs tonight, so who knows what could happen. I could set the world on fire. For my little corner of it anyway. But I do want to add to something that you said earlier. We do this to show you, and it's not like we need to point this out to you. Y'all are watching this stuff in the news. You're seeing it for yourself. You're seeing stuff that you don't want to see in your world. What we want to do for you is to help you, like Michael said, have a new thought about things, to see things differently, because we know that the things that we resist persist in our lives.
Absolutely.
And we keep pushing against and pushing against and pushing against, and it's not helping. It's not helping at all. What helps is for us to repent of our sins. By that, I mean we turn away.
Okay.
Repent means to turn away. Sin, an old archery term, doesn't mean what y'all think it means. It means it was a mistake. You missed the target, the bullseye. You missed the bullseye. It's a mistake. Mistakes can be corrected. So we need to repent of our sins. We turn away from the mistake of giving all that negativity our attention, and instead we want to put our attention on the world that we want to see and give that as much emotional power as we can. And that is why we do this. We don't always come right out and say it this explicitly, but this is why.
I thought that you were going to give an altar call for a moment.
Oh, not before
to have people repent of their sin.
Oh no, we do that after we take up the collection.
Now, I thought you do that before you take up the collection.
Whatever.
You have the altar call before you take up the collection.
I got to plug my computer in. It's starting to run low on power.
I think that's a wise idea.
It's a good idea. But yeah, donate to the network so that we can keep doing this and all the other cool shows that are on here. So I feel like I'm on the Jerry Lewis telethon. All right. So
are you going to come out with the juggling act next?
No.
Okay. All right.
So what we got going on?
Oh, well, of course, we have the news.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. officials visited Gaza today as more Palestinians say that they were shot at while awaiting aid U.S. officials, including Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and also the ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, visited aid distribution sites in Gaza on Friday. Witkoff says that he spent 5 hours in the enclave to better understand the humanitarian situation and to relay it back to U.S. President Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Palestinian said that the Israeli military shot at them. They shot at them while waiting to receive food near the same U.S.-backed aid distribution hub that Witkoff visited in southern Gaza today. One hospital said it had received at least 3 people who were killed and 6 who were injured by gunfire near the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and Distribution Center.
Wow.
Jeff, when are we going to end this crazy things that we do with each other? That, listen, I understand about, again, with the Palestinian-Israeli conflict for years, okay?
Yeah.
And that I understand, again, the argument, and that what the Israeli government, not the Israeli people, but what the Israeli government is doing is genocide to these folks. So, your comment.
I have not put a lot of my feelings about this particular thing online, simply because if you say anything at all, I've got a lot of Jewish friends on my social media. I have a few Muslim friends as well. But anytime anything negative at all is said about the nation of Israel, everybody loses their complete and total bullshit. They lose their minds and they start throwing around terms like anti-Semitism and racist and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know what? It doesn't take much to stop and look at what the government is doing,
right?
And denounce it. And if my denouncing Netanyahu and the rest of the Israeli government makes me anti-Semitic, then fine, I'm anti-Semitic. I stand with the Israeli people, but I also stand with the Palestinian people. And I understand also that Hamas, being the terrorist organization that they are, have embedded themselves into the general public of the Palestinians. And you can't root out the cause of the terrorism without collateral damage. There's no easy way around this.
Well, I just think that, again, to label either yourself or myself anti-Semitic because that we say something that's pro-Palestinian, we're not saying, okay, we're not supporting Hamas. We're supporting the people there. And that why can't there be solutions found instead of starving that whole population?
Well,
I just don't get it here, Jeff.
Wasn't it France the other day that just came out and said that they were going to support a Palestinian state? That kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Something else that I saw, we're talking about people who are starving.
Yes.
And we're trying to bring food to them and we're being shot at. Okay. We're trying to feed people who are hungry.
Right.
Meanwhile, our government, in its infinite wisdom, has canceled USAID.
Right.
They had, I can't remember exactly the figure of meals of these high protein bars, and I guess they're like big cookies or whatever that take you through a day. They're letting it all expire and go bad because there's nobody to distribute it because there's no funding for it because they ripped that all out.
Yeah. So then
and then supposedly we're sending them some more food, and Donald Trump was on on the media the other day saying, "Oh, but nobody's thanking us for it. You know, we're the ones doing it. Nobody else seems to be helping out but us, and nobody's saying thank you for it." And I'm like, there was a rabbi 2,000 years ago in that Holy Land,
Yeah,
who said, "The things that you do to the least of these,
right.
they're my brothers and sisters. The
Right.
things that you do to them, you're doing to me."
Absolutely. So many Israeli organizations are condemning the actions here of the government. So
As they should.
that's why I say that again, that we need to keep the pressure up on our representatives to have a peaceful solution in that area. I don't know what that is yet, but I think that they can come to some sort of peace agreement, whereas they do not have Israel coming in and bombing everything in sight in the Gaza Strip, and
Right.
also the Hamas and the terrorist organizations that are funded by other Arab countries not to take hostages from Israel.
And so
Go
this
ahead.
is where we pivot. This is where we repent of those sins and we begin to think about what life can be like in Palestine, in Israel, in Gaza, where people are walking, you know, shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm, hand in hand, because they do that there.
Yes, they do.
They're living in peace. They're
Yes.
living in, you know, everybody's fed. They're not hungry anymore.
All right.
These are the things that we need to consider when we hear these horrible stories.
Right.
We need to see the opposite of that and put our focus on that. Make that a focus of our prayers. Make that a focus of what work we do, whether it's writing letters to the government, whether it's donating to organizations that are helping to bring this about. We can all do our part.
So today, the markets rattled by Trump's new tariff policies and weak job growth. U.S. stocks are lower today after a weak job report and following the White House unveiling of a new trade policy starting on August the 7th that affects virtually every nation, cementing a break from decades of free trade and signaling a new protectionist era. The U.S. job growth stalled in July with just 73,000 jobs added, while May and June's totals were revised down by a combined 258,000, according to the new data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And then today, because he did not like the numbers, Donald goes ahead and fires the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because he doesn't like the numbers. Isn't that interesting?
He said that she'd been faking the numbers for years, starting, I guess, with Obama. Who knows? He doesn't seem to take into consideration that what he's doing with the tariffs and alienating not only our trading partners around the world, but he's alienating people here at home.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to see where it's all tied in together.
So everyone's going to get hit with, every nation is going to get hit with at least 10%. All right. And so the 10% rate will apply only to countries with a trade surplus, countries to which the United States exports more than it imports, which is most of them. A 15% rate will serve as the new tariff floor for countries with which the United States has a trade deficit. Around 40 countries fall into that category, and Brazil was hit with a 50% tariff. So up go our coffee prices. And I thought that this president ran on the promise that he was going to lower the cost of living.
You didn't really believe that.
I didn't.
A lot of people did, though. And it's funny because he ran on that promise, and you want to know what? It's dangerous to be me. I would defy anybody out there to live in my mind for just one day, because
Now that would be very scary.
It's interesting because you said, well, he ran on this promise, and right away I flashed on an episode of Mama's Family. Remember that show from TV?
Yes.
Carol Burnett and
Yes.
Vicki Lawrence. And the character Eunice is talking to Mama, and she says, well, evidently all your promises are written with disappearing ink. I kind of think that applies.
Well, I really think that Donald, during this time of school supplies, should not go to Walmart and pick up a big box of Sharpies. That is his problem.
Oh, yeah.
He has a marker problem.
He's going to need them, though, because we're coming into hurricane season, and the way the weather's been these days, it's promising to be a real interesting time. So I imagine he'd want to be out there, directing the hurricanes away from land with his Sharpies.
Well, in other news here, Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, has been serving a 20-year prison sentence in Florida. She has been moved to a lower security federal prison camp in Texas, and we can confirm that Maxwell is in the custody of the Bureau of Prisons at the federal prison camp in Bryan, Texas. BOP spokesperson Donald Murphy said in a statement to CNN. Maxwell, who was sentenced in 2022 for carrying out a years-long scheme with Epstein to groom and sexually abuse underage children, has continued to appeal her conviction, including to the Supreme Court. Now, this move comes after a week after Maxwell met in private with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Tallahassee. Details of that meeting have not been made public, though her lawyer has said that Maxwell honestly answered every question that Mr. Blanche asked. Murphy declined to give any explanation to or for Maxwell's move. The Justice Department has not responded to questions from CNN. So it is speculated that the reason why she was moved was from maximum security to this almost country club minimum security. Is because what now?
She's going to get pardoned.
Do you really think so?
I absolutely think so.
Why do you think she's going to get pardoned?
There's no reason to move her from where she was to a minimum security facility unless they're planning to release her. I've worked with prison reform for a lot of years. I know maybe not everything, but I know a little bit. And this to me is a sign that they're getting ready to do something.
Now, a minimum security prison camp like Bryan is the least restrictive type of facility among federal prisons, housing inmates considered to be low risk. Camps have very little or no fencing containing the inmates, and inside they are able to move relatively freely. Other celebrity inmates at the camp include Jen Shaw, who is on the TV show Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and Elizabeth Holmes, formerly of the blood testing company Theranos. Sam Mengel, who is a prison consultant who does not represent Maxwell, suggests that she could run the risk of being threatened, hurt, or injured in Tallahassee, especially if she continues to cooperate with the Justice Department, because the Tallahassee prison houses gang members and violent offenders that may take her out.
It's interesting, though, that people who end up on, I don't know if she is or not, I haven't looked this up. Is she on the sex offender registry?
I don't know.
She should be. I know that in male prisons, sex offenders, especially those who offend against children, are the ones who are at risk. And they have special units, especially for those perpetrators, because they're not safe in the general population.
Right.
I don't know how it is with the women's prison. She's been in federal custody for 3 years now, and nothing's happened to her. If the women had felt the same way about sex offenders as the men do, they'd have probably already put a hit out on her, and nothing's happened. So I'm not sure that their explanation holds a lot of water with me. No.
But wait,
there's more.
Of course, there's always more.
This reminds me of United Methodist Bible Vacation Bible School when I was a kid, and we'd sing that song, "Deep and wide, deep and wide. There's a fountain flowing deep and wide." This shit is deep and wide, baby.
Donald may have accidentally admitted knowledge of a grotesque crime, says a CNN legal expert. They were taken aback on Thursday evening after watching President DT admit that he knew of a grotesque crime when he talked about his falling out with Jeffrey Epstein. First of all, it was because of a real estate deal. It wasn't because of anything else. That's the reason why they had the falling out.
Yeah, and it wasn't Trump who dumped Epstein. It was the other way around.
Well, Ryan Goodman, who is the founding co-editor-in-chief of the legal and policy website Just Security, joined Aaron Burnett on CNN's Out Front to weigh in on Trump's shocking remarks regarding his relationship with Epstein, who died in prison while awaiting trial on sex trafficking allegations. And this happened during the first Trump regime. Burnett noted that the White House has offered multiple explanations about the falling out, including over a real estate deal. Trump, however, has insisted that their friendship blew up because Epstein hired his spa workers, one of them being 14 years old, a claim that she says does not add up because the hiring away was 2 years before Trump was continuing to say wonderful things about Epstein, and 7 years before he kicked him out of the club. So what they're saying is that he may have perjured himself, that he may have implicated himself in this whole Epstein files thing. You think? And Burnett was asked whether or not any recourse is possible for Trump over what he knew at the time. And Goodman poured cold waters on the idea. If it's just knowledge, there's only one situation in which they would be actually legally obligated, and that if someone is a mandatory reporter. But to be a mandatory reporter, they have to be like a school teacher or a medical doctor. And Burnett said, well, not a rich friend. And Goodman said, no, not just a friend or anything like that. And that would be also under state law, and that probably would also be a statute of limitations problem for that particular offense. But otherwise, it would chalk up to moral culpability. I think what's going to get him in trouble is if he doesn't release the files, because he promised.
Disappearing ink. Disappearing ink.
You think so?
I think so. He's not going to release those files. He's in them. He knows it.
But why would he even dangle that as a carrot in front of his base?
Oh my God, Michael, let me break this down for you. Like we call it in the Army, let me break it down for you Barney style.
Okay.
Like you're talking to a 5-year-old, okay?
Okay.
if Donald Trump was your grandfather or
Right.
your Uncle Tony or whoever,
Right.
and was talking some of the crazy bullshit that he talks about, you'd have had him locked away in a memory care unit in a nursing home somewhere so fast it would have made his head spin.
Absolutely.
This is just like with the tariffs. He shifts back and forth all the time. He goes back and forth on this issue all the time. He doesn't remember what lies he's told. That's why, you tell the truth and you don't have to worry about covering your ass later on. And if the Republicans, if the GOP were smart, they'd shut him up because he's going to talk himself into prison. He's going to say something that's going to be so egregious and so outrageous that not even his bought Supreme Court is going to be able to get him out of. It reminds me, and I am a divine scientist. I'm going to bring in scripture once in a while. It reminds me of Psalms 141, verse 3. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. Well, they need to set a watch before Donald Trump's mouth. They need to keep a watch on his lips because loose lips sink ships, and his ship is sinking. He doesn't realize it, but he's sinking. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
One more comment here. It just amazes me how, again, the MAGA base and the so-called conservatives, that they go ahead and they dismiss all of these cognitive issues that Donald Trump has. Like, okay, well, they covered it up during Joe Biden's administration.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Whataboutism. Yeah.
Yeah. At least there were Democrats around Joe Biden that said, Mr. President, maybe this is not a good idea to run. So, and he listened to it. And I think on some level that he regrets that because he thinks, Joe Biden thinks that he could have beat Donald Trump. And I say, no, not after that. Not after what happened during the debate.
No. Here's the thing, though. A lot of families are like the MAGA crowd. They're in denial that there's something going on with Donnie, just like we would be if it was our grandfather or our Uncle Tony, like we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always going to be somebody in the family who says, yeah, but look at this over here. Notice this over here. Look at, and then eventually everybody comes around to the thinking that, well, yeah, maybe he'd be better off, if we, took his car keys away and, things of that nature. I don't think we've gotten to that point with MAGA people yet. I don't think we're ever going to get to that point with the MAGA people. I think they are so supportive of him. Did you catch that? I was good that time.
Yes, you went ahead and you caught yourself, but go ahead.
They're so supportive of him that it's like he said he could go out on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and not lose any votes. This is the equivalent of that.
And if Tim Davison, my friend from the radio group, was here, he would share with you that this is part of the fire hose that's going on, that Donald is constantly doing all of these things at once to take your attention off of the fact that him and his family are profiting off of this presidency. So again, get active, get involved. Know with me in prayer, again, the peace and harmony of this nation. We need to be keeping the high watch here for this country. And again, to be praying for this country like Dr. Ernest Holmes did and other New Thought leaders. Mm-hmm. Well, after the break, I don't know how good it's going to be. Because legal didn't even, legal left early today.
Apparently so. They didn't read my email.
Next, after the break, it's Reverend Jeff's story of the week. And I don't even know what it is. So it should be interesting. Jeff, how many F-bombs are you going to use during this?
Probably none.
Okay.
I can't imagine myself using any, but I always reserve the right.
Okay. All right. Well, I did get an email from legal, and they said that to allow you up to 2 F-bombs.
Okay. The ones that I'm allowed to use, but I don't use, are those being held in reserve for me that one day I can just go completely off and just like go crazy with them?
Yeah, I'm going to ask that you do that on the other show, not on this show.
God love her, Reverend Joyful would just have a heart attack right there.
Because that they're going to have for ordination over 250 hours of me being on the Fireside chat.
Oh, yeah.
So that's all that I would need is to have the ordination committee take a snippet and have you say 15 F-bombs in a row.
Hello, ordination committee. The views on this show expressed by Reverend Jeffs are his alone. They do not reflect on Pastor Michael Mangus. Leave him alone, damn it.
Well, we'll come back to Jeff here in just a moment. Hi there. This is the Friday Evening Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network. Hey, join us this Sunday at 10:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 Pacific Time at summitcsl.org. There you can get the Zoom information for a wonderful meeting. And this Sunday, yours truly will be speaking. Yes, I do actually write a sermon once in a while. And this Sunday, I'll be speaking on rewriting your story. Rewriting your story. So that's this Sunday at 10:30 Eastern. Just go to summitcsl.org for more information. Would love to see you. Okay. Time for a break. And then we will be right back. You are watching the soon-to-be award-winning Friday Evening Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
The views and opinions expressed by Pastor Michael Mangus are generally right. However, they are his own and do not reflect the views and opinions of New Thought Media Network, Centers for Spiritual Living, or any other person living or dead. As they say in the 12-Step Recovery Program, take what you like and leave the rest. Here again is Pastor Michael.
And now, the award-winning and ever popular Reverend Jeff's story of the
Now
week.
here's Reverend Jeff Radcliffe with the story of the week.
Well,
Now
the
here's
story of the
Reverend
week
Jeff
is that there's
Radcliffe
just
with
no
the
Oh,
story
he
of the
wants,
week.
he wanted to say it again.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's cool. It's cool. But there is no story. So,
Okay.
but the past couple of weeks for me has been very interesting because I had a health issue come up that required me to be in the hospital for a while. And I came out of that and I saw a lot of things that disturbed me. Simply because we as lay people, as people who maybe are not medically trained or whatever, don't get to see, some of the things. I saw nurses do things for other patients that I think went above and beyond. I had some really interesting conversations with the janitorial staff, the people who came in to clean my room. They are people living their lives just like the rest of us and doing their next best thing. And that really made me grateful for, all the care that I was getting. There were a couple of moments that were kind of dicey where I felt disrespected, but for the most part, everybody was very supportive, very kind, and even loving, if you can think of that in a professional way. And it reminded me kind of sort of what Mr. Rogers said once when he talked about what his mother told him about how when things look scary or things look bad, to look for the helpers because they're always there and they make things better. And so shout out to the folks at the hospital I was at for being those helpers. And each of us can also be that kind of person. We can each be a helper. It doesn't have to be a big thing because the little things add up. I mean, if it's only, carrying somebody's bags to the car for a little old lady at the grocery store, I mean, do that. I'm very proud of my son because he does things like that still. I mean, he grew up knowing that I expected certain behaviors from him, but he went above and beyond. I used to live in an apartment building with a lot of elderly people, and they adored Aaron. They loved him so much because he'd go around, he'd sit and he'd talk to them, he'd listen to their stories. If they needed help with something, he was glad to do it. We can all do that. We can all be a helper. And that's what Jesus was talking about when I referenced earlier, that the things that we do, either good or bad, we're doing it, to that personage that we look at as Jesus. If you're Christian, but in the big scheme of things, we're doing it to ourselves because Christ lives within us. So when I see some of the nasty stuff, the hateful, mean, bigoted stuff on social media, I'm thinking to myself, do you realize that you're doing that to yourself? You're not owning the libs. You're not, trashing somebody that you don't know, will never meet, and will never see again. You're doing it to yourself.
Yeah.
But by the same token, when we help, we're also doing it to ourselves.
And
ladies and story, and I'm sticking to it.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Reverend Jeff's story of the week. Well, now don't ever say that I don't think about you when I'm putting this together.
Okay. Even though you don't answer my emails.
Even though that myself and my staff, my vast staff here at the Concrete Bunker, that
zero, right? Zero.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, we put this show together with such care, and we think about you. And so I thought this would be a good story about a wannabe hillbilly
Oh my goodness. A wannabe?
A wannabe hillbilly. Vice President
Oh, yeah.
Gantz came to the northeastern Ohio area and started talking smack.
Uh-oh.
So my friend who's been on this program, oh, that's another story here.
Okay.
Oh, it's a good story too. This is Amelia Sykes. She comes from a long political family, and I would not advise J.D. Vance picking a fight with this woman because she will eat your lunch plus. But anyhow, U.S. Representative Amelia Sykes issued a sharp rebuke on Wednesday of Vice President J.D. Vance's recent remarks characterizing cities like Akron and Canton as lawless, mainly because they have Democratic mayors, calling his comments a cheap publicity stunt, there you go, and expressing deep disappointment with the Ohio natives' assessment of her district. And she said, I am deeply and bitterly disappointed with the vice president's remarks about Akron and Canton. He also made comments about the downtown area of Columbus, saying that they were lawless and that individuals do not go down there to enjoy either family functions or a nice evening at the many restaurants down there in either Akron, Canton, or Columbus. So this is what he said. He said, how many of you have wanted to go to downtown Akron or downtown Canton or Columbus for a meal, but you worried because the local authorities in those big cities have allowed lawlessness to run wild? What? He says, we have got to make great American cities safe again for families and children. And during his visit to tout what Republicans call the Big Beautiful Bill, Vance spent several minutes criticizing Sykes for her opposition to the legislation, questioning why she wasn't present at the event. Do you know why she's not here today? Vance said. Because she's celebrating no tax on tips. She's not celebrating no tax on overtime. She's not celebrating the highest rising take-home pay in 60 years because she fought us every step of the way on the big, beautiful bill. Sykes said she wasn't even invited. And she wouldn't have gone because it would have been hard for her to sit in her seat while Vance was up there flapping his mouth and flapping his jaws about lies. When are the GOP going to take this guy aside and say, quit lying, quit causing trouble in these cities? He's the same person that last year went ahead and said the lies about Springfield, about they're eating the dogs or eating the cats. He's the one that started it. So anyhow, the article goes on to talk about how Sykes is working with other congressmen and women to come against the gerrymandering that's going on, the repurposing of districts, of which they're trying to do with this district here to try to get the Republicans. But again, it's going to be a tough sell. People like Amelia, even the Republicans of this area like Amelia. So
she deserves some mad respect. People like Amelia Sykes and Ayanna Pressley and Jasmine Crockett, Black women women of color in our Congress right now are doing more for the people of America than the entire GOP and certainly most of the Democratic Party, who seems to have lost heart. Mad respect to those women of color because they are doing it for us. I love it.
Why? And again, the press has been radio silent mostly about this, about calling downtown Akron, downtown Canton, and also downtown Columbus lawless. There would not be any restaurants in those areas if it wasn't for massive redevelopment of those areas, and also people coming down to those areas. We have here in Akron, it's called Lock 3. Lock 3, again, is a huge park area with an amphitheater that has all kinds of events down there. And J.D. Vance, when was the last time he came to Akron? He was in Perry Township. But when was the last time he came to Akron? And again, talking that kind of stuff to a nationwide audience and the people, especially on Fox News, believing that stuff. Your comments, Jeff Radcliff.
Well, I can't speak too much about J.D. Vance. I mean, everybody knows I don't care too much for him. He is the only wannabe hillbilly around, because if you're a hillbilly, you were born to it. And just because, well, he wasn't. So he wasn't. But no. J.D. Vance ain't it. But he's not the only crazy one out there. I mean, the entire GOP is full of nuts, wing nuts, and crackpots. Did you hear the news from a couple of days ago about Pete Hegseth?
Go ahead.
He wants to get out of the Pentagon.
Yeah.
And run. He's put out feelers to see what it would require of him to run for governor of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's already up against Marsha Blackburn, who is another one right up Donald Trump's whatever. So he would be a good match for it. The thing of it is, are we crazy enough to allow stupidness like this to happen? That's where we've got to. And the thing of it is, Tennessee 20 years ago was more. It was not purple. It was more blue than it was red. It was more blue than it was purple. Tennessee even supplied a vice president to the United States during one of the most prosperous times in history.
Mm-hmm.
Al Gore, who was vice president under, oh my God, what's his name? Clinton.
Bill Clinton. I was going to say that.
So you know what? All it's going to take is for good people to get up and start doing something.
Right.
See it in our
Absolutely.
minds, envision what it is we desire, and then work our way toward it. Do what it is ours to do. And we can take the country back from the lunacy that we find ourselves embroiled in on a daily basis now. We can do this thing. MAGA is not the answer. J.D. Vance is not the answer. Donald Trump is not the answer. But they're symptoms of, or they're basically, they're products of this weird warped thinking that we have allowed to continue in this country unabated.
And
we've sat on our hands and let it all happen. We have to do better, and we can do better. And all we have to do is pivot.
And I saw a hat this week on Facebook that says, "Make racism shameful again."
Please do. Let's do that.
Can I put that on a red hat?
Yeah. We don't need to wall ourselves off from the rest of the world. We're not North Korea. we take people from all over because this is America. We are the melting pot. That's what that woman in the harbor in New York is all about, where she says, "Send me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free."
Right.
And it's all of these people together that make us great. And we've forgotten that. We've allowed the wingnuts to take that mindset away from us and put it somewhere else. It's up to us to have the strength to put our consciousness back where we want it to be in order to work toward this change.
I have one more story here.
Okay.
From scaring dog walkers to making history. This is America's first ever wife carrying world champion. On July 5th, Caleb Rosler picked up his wife, Justine, slung her over his shoulders, ran 250 meters through water and hurdles over to the finish line, making history and winning Justine's weight in beer in the process.
And the only thing I can think of while I'm looking at this picture is, what the hell did she walk through? What is that on her feet?
It is fair to say that wife carrying is a sport that sometimes draws some confused looks. When the Roslers explained why they're going out of town on the weekends. This is a sport like no other. And again, the originating country is in Finland. That's where the World Championships were held. So what happened is that this 19th century legend, he was a leader of a gang of thieves. And what he did was he supposedly trained his accomplices by making them carry heavy sacks of rye, according to the championship, which continues his legacy. Many believed that he and his men would eventually literally steal women from nearby villages, putting them over their shoulders and taking them back to camp. Now, these days, wife carrying is more innocent and far more inclusive too. The wife carrying world championship that began in Finland in 1992. And despite the name, anyone is free to carry anyone, regardless of gender or marital status. The competition also has an over 40 division, as well as a women's only category, which debuted this year.
So we've evolved from dragging them by the hair of the head out of the cave.
Right.
To that.
Well, now there's certain technique here to be able to do that. But again, hey, listen, congratulations to the
cool.
to the Roslers for being the first American couple to be the world champion.
And imagine imagine her having to be okay with everybody knowing how much she weighs, because that's how much beer they've won.
That's right. And guess what?
So, yeah.
We're out of time.
And she did not look like she weighed all that much. I mean, she,
no.
pounds maybe. But that's a lot of beer too. But what if she'd have been a nice, healthy, corn-fed girl from the country?
I don't know. And guess what?
Oh no, not again. Are we out of time?
We're out of time.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, all right.
I'm getting used to it.
You are?
Yeah, finally.
Well, okay. Well, again, since you are on an award-winning show here on Friday afternoons, man, you had like over 100 views. That's pretty good for this network.
We're very happy with that. We're very pleased. We're not limiting ourselves to, when we say divine science, you have to realize that with God being ever present, omnipresence, itself, that encompasses everybody. So we can draw on folks from CSL and Unity and Universal Foundation for Better Living. We have got lots of cool people coming up. So you stick around. It's going to be fun.
Oh, absolutely. Well, listen,
That's
Jeff,
why
again,
people are watching.
thank you so very much for being here this evening, keeping me company and in line.
I'm the one that needs that. Put that watch before my mouth. Oh Lord.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have got to go. Again, thank you so very much for joining us here this evening for the Friday evening fireside chat. And again, thank you for watching this network and supporting us here. If you would like to support us financially, again, it's ntmedia.org/donate. Again, it really goes to help us to have programming like this that does speak truth to power. And that's what we need in this day and age here. So again, please go to ntmedia.org/donate on behalf of all of us here at the New Thought Media Network. I'm Reverend Michael, and I'm going to wish you a very pleasant good night and a great week.
Thanks for joining us this evening for Friday's Fireside Chat with Pastor Michael Mangus. Join us again next week at 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain for more spiritual conversations for today. For more information and replays of past shows, please visit the New Thought Radio and Media Network's Facebook page. Until next week, may God bless you richly and abundantly.